so starting off, lying down, have your legs bent and your feet on the floor, and you can have your feet around about hip distance or a bit wider. And then start to sway your hips, your knees, from side to side. And then as you do this, start to sync the movement with the breath. So as you exhale, sway your knees to one side. Inhale, come back to centre. Exhale, sway your knees to the other side. And inhale, come back to centre. So as you inhale, we're drawing the knees up and over the top. Great big wave. And then as you exhale, rolling out down to the other side. Rolling over the ground through the feet, letting the weight of your body fall into the ground. And as we do this, can we also connect to the space right behind your navel, deep behind your navel, into the front line, the deep front line of the body, the deep front line, right behind the organs, the very front of your vertebral column. So allow your belly to drop in, fall in, behind the organs. Take a couple more here. And then let the knees come over to your right. And then place the left foot somewhere on the right leg, either upper leg or lower leg. And we're just going to glide the left knee away from you and back towards you. So just gently opening up into the left hip, left waist. And take it easy, it's just an opening up. So think of moving through the soft tissue. You could sync this with the breath if you like. You could inhale, move the knee away. Exhale, move it towards you, or the other way around. It doesn't make much difference. And then placing the left foot back onto the ground behind you and rolling the knees up over to your left side. Okay, and then taking a breath. And then bringing the right foot onto the left leg, anywhere at all, and start to rock your right knee away from you. Good, a couple more. Okay, and then we're going to bring the right foot back, bring yourself back to the middle. And then bring your ankles together and your knees together. Start to rock your knees to the right so that you're only on the outside edge of your right foot. None of the sole of the feet or the inside of the left foot even are on the floor. The ankles are together. And then roll back use your left ribs as your sort of muscular action to pull you back. And roll onto the soles of the feet again. And then roll onto just only the left side, the outer foot of the left foot. Soles of the feet facing the right. Okay, and then using the right side of your body to bring you back up. And then let's roll between the two. So you can roll to the right, come back to center on the exhale, inhale, roll to the left on the exhale, come back to center on the inhale. And so continuing with this a few more times, you can start to curl your bum towards the backs of the knees as you roll over to one side, like you're tucking your tail down towards the feet. You could take your arms a little bit wider now if it feels okay for you. Great. And next time you've been to the left, it's coming back up to the middle. And then crossing your left leg over your right. You might double cross at the ankles. And use your breath. Exhale, move your knees to the right. Inhale, come up partially. And exhale again to the right, same direction. Inhale, come up partially. Exhale to the right again. Inhale, come up partially. And so each time we move down, we might come down a bit more and up a little bit less, working your way slowly towards the twist where you might end up hovering and staying there. And just movement is only then with the movement of the breathing, unless you want to keep moving the knees up and down. So you're not forcing yourself into anything. The knees might not come anywhere near the floor. And that's absolutely fine. You can place blocks under the knees if you want to, or place your hand under the knees. And we're looking to drop back through the left shoulder blade, left collarbone, left armpit, so that the left shoulder girdle falls away from these upper ribs by the chest. But can we allow the chest to widen so that we're not rolling too much onto the right shoulder? Can we be a little more facing upwards with the heart? So therefore the knees might not come anywhere near the ground. Maybe tucking up your legs here to make yourself smaller, curling up into a little more of a ball. And following your breath. Lastly here, you could consider turning the head away from the right, from between the shoulder blades, a sense of your whole neck moving from lower down. So it's not just coming from the head. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And we'll use our exhale to help engage the left ribs, the diaphragm, the core muscles to bring the knees up. And then uncrossing the legs. You might need to bring your pelvis back to center, having the ankles together. And then we'll cross the right leg over the left, maybe a double cross at the ankle. And then we'll go to the left on your exhale. We're not going all the way down. Left, exhale to comfortable, and then inhale, come up. And then just follow that ebb and flow with the breath, the knees coming up and down. You're keeping your right shoulder blade on the floor, or pretty much touching down. So that we're maintaining the upper rib structure, which is the upper ribs start around the collarbones. So we're maintaining that upper rib structure to be on the ground still, not moving into the twist. And the lower rib structure, the ones that are your floating ribs and those wide ribs at the bottom, moving around and into the twist. When you feel you want to, you could stop there. And if the legs feel a bit heavy and they're trying to tip your right shoulder off the floor, then use something underneath the knees. Otherwise, a little bit of muscular effort. Just following your breath. Okay, maybe tucking up the knees so that you sort of curl up into a ball on the left side there with just the lower body. Breathing into wherever it is that you're noticing it. For me, it's very much in my right pec to shoulder, but it might be your hip, it might be your spine, the muscles around the spine. So let's turn the head again like we did on the other side. We're turning away from the left, but it's not the head only. Can you consider that you're turning the neck from deeper down between the shoulder blades? So that will assist in the upper region of your body to move away in the opposite direction of the lower region of the body. Last 2 breaths. And then use the right side of your body, your core muscles, the diaphragm on the exhale to bring your knees back up. And then we'll uncross the legs. Maybe take your arms a little bit higher. You can bend the elbows as much as you want to, maybe even very much bent. Okay, and then we're going to rock forwards and back over the sacrum. Just a few. Okay, as you start to rock towards the waist, we do this quite a lot, you're going to drop your belly in. So your tailbone's going to scoop towards the backs of the knees. Drop your belly in like you're trying to create a ladle from behind the organs. Try to scoop like you're making the front body dip in and roll up. Okay, keep scooping your belly in. And you know, I'm talking about behind, deep in the belly, scooping in. And then start to roll up onto your shoulders, perhaps. Perhaps getting a sense of opening up the front of the hips. So you're going to let the thighs move away from the pelvis to widen the groins, to lengthen the belly. So this is a front body opener here. If you're feeling it in the lower back, come down a bit more and start working at rolling the tailbone under more to open the front of the pelvis. And then we'll start to come down. So roll out through your spine. Keep scooping in as much as you can into the ladle of the belly. And when the pelvis comes to the floor, settle the weight. And then bring your arms around your knees. Take a little hug and a rock from side to side. And then take the knees wide. Taking the arms on the insides of the legs, grab hold of your big toes. And then keep the knees nice and wide and kind of, we're finding width in the groins here. And then offering your right foot any amount out to the side. Wait before you start to feel a lot of stretch. Okay, maybe a mild stretch. Wait there, and then can you sort of relax the leg even as you lengthen it, and see if you can glide through and sneak underneath the stretchy bit, and that you're unraveling by releasing and softening. And the leg might not go anywhere near to extending out to the side, but it's fine. And then bring the foot back in. I'm going to go over to the left side. So it might simply be that we just lift the foot. Okay, so then wherever you are, you just wait until you start to feel the stretch, and then that's where you start to focus your attention inwards. Inwards too. Can we lengthen into the skin? Can we lengthen into behind the stretch? Can we find an area where we can sneak in to sneakily open the leg rather than pushing into it? Okay, and then let's come back. And then having a go with both. Okay, if both is uncomfortable, you could just do one and then the other. And again, it's that same thing. It's a bit more tricky when there's two involved, but can we sneak under the radar? Can we lengthen without pushing into it? Any amount. If you're doing one side, then go ahead and do the other. Great. And then bringing the feet back in. And we hold the outsides of the legs, bring the legs up into the air. Okay, and then a little bit of, okay, so if you hold somewhere up the backs of the legs, doesn't really matter too much where. If you can go high, then do. And then can you drop your belly in, like you're going to curl up into your bridge. You drop your belly in, and then see if you can curl your tailbone up off the floor. Your legs will start going towards the space behind you. And roll back down again if you left the ground, because you might not leave the ground. Okay, so it's just a little bit like you're rolling up into your bridge. Dropping the belly in, it will engage much more obviously than if we're rolling up, than if we're actually rolling up into bridge. But that idea of dropping into the ground through the back of the belly to lift the tail. You can play with that a few more times. Rolling through the spine. Nice massage for the spine, coming in and out. Last one if you left the ground. And then we'll come up onto hands and knees. Bit of a hair issue going on there. Okay. So let's come up onto our hands and knees and then circle around the wrists. Great, circle the other way. Okay, and then from here, we consider the lower belly again. So like, you know, when we drop the belly in our bridge and we curl the tailbone, can we do that here where we hollow the lower belly into your body, you let the tailbone drop down towards the backs of the knees and then release. So it's a little bit of a lower back round, but we're not using the upper back, we're not doing the upper back as well. So it's not quite cat-cow, it's just working within the pelvis. So have a few goes at that. See what it feels like to roll from inside the pelvis in this backwards loop. this tucking under loop that's coming from the soft tissues inside the body. Okay. And then come to a neutral spine. And then can you make those same engagements into this pelvic loop, this sort of rolling back through the pelvis, but without letting the bones move? So can we do it with a straight back? So it's just internal. And you might notice your pelvic floor engaging and your core engaging, but you're not tucking at the same time. It's the bones stay in neutral, but the movement comes from inside. It's not very dynamic, but there's a lot going on. Okay. And then let's tuck the toes under, sit onto our feet, stretch the toes. Keep stretching the toes. And start to now push your ankles back. So your knees lift off the floor. It's pushing back through the ankles, stretching up the Achilles, the lower calf area, the sole of the foot. And then start to go further back with the seat bones and the lower back. Keep reaching back through the ankles. Start to go further back and slightly up. So we're starting to come into down dog, but really bent. And then stretch the sides of your body long. So move one side of the body longer and then the other side of the body longer. So wiggle your bum as you stretch the sides. And then can we keep a sense of the depth behind the lower belly? And start to come into your down face dog. Keep the front of the spine nice and long. And then pedaling out. Right, let's come back down onto the knees. And then stay up, hips over your knees. And bring one arm, outreach and stretch that right arm or whichever arm. And then place it on the ground as far ahead of you as you can. And then without bending into your lower back, can you move your pelvis away from your hand to stretch open the arm? So you start to come down, you might rest on the left elbow. And then slide the hand back. We'll go with the left. So bring your left arm right out as far as you can reach. And then start to drop your pelvis back as your arm kind of drops as well. You might come down onto your right elbow. Good. And then come back up. Let's come all the way up to kneeling. Okay. And then you can bring your hands onto your hips. And the same thing, we're going to tuck the tailbone under. Okay, feeling the lower belly hollow in. And then can we come to a neutral spine and get a sense of just the soft tissues tucking under, perhaps giving you a sense of lift. And then bring one hand onto your upper back, one hand onto your hip. And we're going to go up through the elbow, keep the muscular structure within the pelvis, looping backwards, and go up with the chest. Don't push into your lower back. Just keep moving up with the chest, up with the elbow, using that support through the pelvis. And then release. Let's do the other side. Bring the other arm up behind the shoulders. The loop within the pelvis, going back, lifting the elbow, opening the armpit, lifting the chest. We're going up to go back. We're going up, more importantly, up. Good. And then releasing. And then placing the hand out on the ground, down face dog, so tuck the toes under. See if you can find the length through the spine. Some people, particularly if you're back bender in down face dog, you kind of might need to find a little bit of that pelvic roll here as well. See if it brings the ribs through for you. So let's bring the right leg up into the air. Okay, circle the right leg from the whole of the right hip and buttock. Lift the leg and then bringing it through between the hands. You're going to drop the back knee. Okay, tuck the toes under, fingertips to the floor, and we'll bring attention to behind the belly again. And then from deep behind the belly, can we give length to the leg? So from the length behind the abdomen, we're going to lift the knee so that the leg reaches out from your center, if that makes any sense. Perhaps if we open the feet here, we could come with the hands off the floor. So we open the feet, that's quite a big expansion there for the feet. Come up onto the ball of the left foot, so you're not pushing the heel back. Come up onto the ball, and then come up, perhaps having the hands on the knee. Yeah, just let the shoulder blades move down your back. Yeah, resting the triceps heavily towards the floor, the backs of the arms. Lovely, one more breath. And then bringing the hands to the ground. Let's go back. You can take child's pose if you want to, otherwise down face dog. Okay, let's lift the left leg up and then we'll circle the left leg, not just from inside the leg and inside the hip socket, but a feeling as if your whole left pelvis is rolling with it. And then bring the left foot between the hands. Come up onto your fingertips. So put the knee on the floor. Back toes tucked under. And then attention again from behind the belly. So if we connect to deep into the back of the abdomen and lengthening the leg out from there as we bring the knee off the floor. And then opening the feet. And then coming high up onto the right ball of foot from the strength of the feet. Maybe coming up, resting the hands on the knee, dropping the shoulder blades behind you, down your back body. Try not to bring the shoulders forwards. And let the weight of your triceps hang. Unless you need to push. One more breath. And hands to the floor, going back into down face dog. If you need child's pose, just take a child's pose. Okay, so we're going to come into plank. So can we roll the tailbone down, scoop the lower belly in, tuck the chin in, then come up high onto your toes and ripple forwards. At the end, lift the head so that the throat and nose face down. Lift the heart. Float the heart away from the floor. And then bring the knees to the floor. You're going to look forwards with the chest. So not so much the eyes, the chest looking forwards. Start to drift your weight forwards, but keep the the shoulders lifted and lowering the thighs. Keep the shoulders lifted. And then bending the elbows and coming down. And then lift your arms, your shoulders, just lift your shoulders away from the floor. And then take the shoulder blades down your back a little bit. So it's lift and roll back. With that lift and roll back, perhaps now lift the chest. Use your back muscles to assist you lifting the chest. And then let's come all the way up, straighten the arms and go back, down face dog. Lift the right leg up and bringing it through between the hands. This time drop the back knee down, point the back toes and rest the weight of your pelvis forwards. Start to walk your foot a little bit out to the right. Let the toes turn out. Let your knee turn out. We're staying on the sole of the foot, but you're just letting the knee and the toes turn slightly out. Let the leg drift out to the side a bit. Then bring the hands on the inside of the leg and a little bit rock from side to side within your right hip. As you drift from side to side within your right hip, you might find the inside edge of your right foot lifting. That's fine. You can let that happen. So that you might even end up on the outside edge of your right foot. And from here, walk the foot into pigeon. So the foot comes to the left, and you're going to lay the thigh on the floor. So as you know, you guys now, the thigh stays down in this version of pigeon. Don't lift your bottom off the floor. And start to roll inside the pelvis towards front any amount. It might be that you don't come forwards very much at all. Any amount. And then lean to your right. Grab hold of your left foot and pull the foot towards your bottom to lengthen into the front of the left hip. And if you're not feeling much, you could take the knee further back. Great. Perhaps you could even roll through the pelvis. That will drop and lower that arrangement of the back leg. And then let's bring that knee forwards and place it into the right foot. And then see if you can drop the top of the left foot on the floor. So it's facing your bottom rather than the ankle twisted out to the side. Okay. Good. And then start to come round over that right knee. So you can make some little circular movements or semicircular movements around the right knee. And it might be that that's the best place for you to continue. Some of you might come up to sitting. So if your pelvis is feeling really lopsided, then lean to the side that the pelvis is. Purely because if your pelvis is lopsided where the left side is up, and then you try to bring yourself upright, your left waist will shorten compared to your right. Okay, so we're encouraging the left waist to lengthen. Good. Okay, and then let's bring that left foot forwards. So we've got the sole of the right foot on the inside of the left foot. If your knee is quite high up in the air, you might want to put your block underneath the knee, or sit on a block, or even just hold the knee if there's nothing there. And then we're going to rock forwards and back within the pelvis rocking over the floor. Okay, so if the pelvis won't rock over the floor and instead it's coming from your upper back, then maybe stay upright and do minute movements in the pelvis instead. And as we rock over the pelvis on the floor, or the pelvis rocks over the floor, you might start to come further forwards. And you could start your rocking from lower down. And then perhaps then the right arm coming across to the outside of the leg, anywhere at all. It might be that you're upright here. And coming into your version of a forward fold. Lovely, one more breath. And then coming back up. I'm going to bring that left foot back onto the top of the foot, if we can get onto the top of the foot. If you can get onto the top of the foot, take your right leg down the mat. If you can only get onto the side of the foot, just make sure you lean sideways, that's all. Okay, you can still take the foot down the mat, but lean sideways into your right hand. Okay, and then coming forward, so you might be leaning over to the right as you come forwards. It's fine. If the pelvis can settle a little bit more, you can come a little bit more upright. But please don't twist into the left knee, okay? You need to make sure that the toes point back in the same direction as the pelvis if you're if you're sitting upright on the hips there, on the seat bones. Okay, and then we'll come back up. You're going to bring both feet underneath you, roll up onto your knees, and come up to kneeling. Got the dog. What are you doing in there? He wants to join in. He likes it in here. It's quiet. So then we'll find that pelvic loop, tucking under, and then bring one arm between the shoulders, hand between the shoulders, and the other arm on the opposite back of buttock or leg. Okay, so then we curl under, we lift the elbow, we lift the chest. If you can, open up into the front of the pelvis, a bit like bridge, open up into the front of the groins, and your hand might slide lower down the back of the leg. If it doesn't feel right for you today, you just stay pointing upwards and going upwards. And then let's change sides. So bringing the other arm behind you, other hand down to the opposite buttock or back of leg. It can be the same side if you prefer though. And then pelvic loop. Can we widen the groins, the front of the crease of the hips, and then go up to go back. Upwards first, it's the most important part. So we find the space. So it's a front body opening. Then coming out, releasing the hands to the ground. And let's come back into our sort of almost like a squat. We're going to push the heels back. Try not to bring the heel. We're not bringing the heels to the floor, just pushing the ankles back, And then let the knees widen so that the chest comes between the knees. Keep going back as if you're going to come into a squat, but your heels not quite touching the floor. You're finding that length in the foot. And then into a forward fold. So you need to perhaps parallel your feet here. take a roll up. So scoop your belly in, tailbone hanging down. And then when you stand, let's bring the arms all the way up. Okay, touch the hands together out in front of you. And then move your shoulder blades forwards towards the fingers, widening your back. Find the belly loop. And then any amount you could bring your arms up. Any amount. Hands through the heart. Releasing into a roll down. Let the head hang, shoulders hang. Keeping active through the feet. And then down face dog. And then lift the left leg up. And then come through into a lunge. Drop the back knee down. Point the back toes. And coming up for a bit. And resting through the pelvis, resting forwards. Like you're resting into the front of the right leg and the back of the left leg. And then walking the foot to the left a bit more. Let the knee drift out to the side and bring the hands on the inside of the legs. And then start to rock. Left and right. Great. So you might, as you start to warm up in the rock, you might start to roll onto the outside edge of the left foot, if that's available to you. And then this deep external rotation in the hip, you're going to find again in a slightly different manner into our pigeon. So walk your foot to the right and then settle down onto your left thigh. So in the 90-degree pigeon, 90-degree angle pigeon, keep the left thigh on the floor and just roll over the left hip with the pelvis. So the gentle rock and the movement enables you to hopefully not feel so stuck, because you can just roll wherever you are. Okay, so I'm going to lean to the left and then grab hold of your right foot. You can move, if it's helpful, move your left foot closer to you, if it's helpful, and then stretching out the front of the right leg, maybe moving your knee back a bit further and possibly rolling within the right thigh. Couple more. And then bringing that right knee into the sole of the left foot and see if you can roll onto the top of the right foot. If that's a problem for the ankle, it's okay, but just make sure you stay sitting off to the side. Okay, so if you start to sit upright with the foot out to the side, it's going to twist the knee. So just lean to the left if you can't come to roughly the top of the foot. Okay, so you might be a lot more heavier here. I am on my left hip. It's fine. And then we're going to encourage that actually. We're going to roll to the left knee in circles, roll to the shin in circles. And you might stay doing that, or you might find that you can come up a little easier. See. Two more breaths. I'm breathing behind the heart at the moment. Deep behind the heart, bringing the breath in. Gratitude. And then lean to the left to bring the right foot forwards. So the sole of the left foot's in the inside thigh. Pad the knee or your bum. Okay. And then we're going to roll forwards and back. Again through the pelvis. I feel like we're on a rowing boat or something. And then you might start to come forwards. The left arm coming around the outside of the right leg, somewhere maybe. And then find your breath all the way up that left-hand side. Last breath. And then we'll come back up. And then bringing that right foot back in. As said a few times, you can stay leaning to your side here. It's very useful if the pelvis is nowhere near level. And then bringing the left leg out. Possible forward fold. You could bring the right hand to the outside of the left leg if you want to. Two more. And then let's bring both feet back underneath you. Come up into our kneeling position again. And then bring both arms up into the air. Okay, finding the pelvic loop. So it's a little bit the actual bones do tuck too. The thighs start to drift somewhat forward so you can lengthen into the fronts of the legs, fronts of the groins. Going up, bring both hands together in prayer behind your back. Lift the elbows, armpits, lift the chest and go up. Great. And then bringing the hands back down to the ground. We'll come into a squat with the heels off the floor. So push your heels back, go long through the soles of the feet. So I could easily just bring the feet to the floor here, but then I'd lose the length. I'm trying to really elongate the sole of the foot, elongate the ankles. In fact, what we'll do is we're gonna come down onto one knee. So we're in a half squat. And then the foot that's in squat, you don't need the heel to come to the floor because we're going to lean over it so the heel does come off the ground a bit. But you're still pushing into the back of the ankle, deepening into the front of the ankle. So the front of the ankle really folds. Knee goes out to the side. And then let's bring that foot back underneath you. Bring the other foot out to the side. And then the same thing. So that other knee is not really, the bottom leg's just there to support you. And letting the knee drift out to the side, so we're deepening into the groins. And then bring that knee underneath you. And then bring your hands next to your hips. If you need to use blocks for your hands, then you could do. And then we're going to tuck the tail under. Really scoop the belly in, tailbone under, and lift your hips a little. And then come down. Maybe take your hands a bit further back and wider. I quite like to separate my heels a bit here, but make sure your toes point backwards. If you're struggling with the toes pointing out to the sides, perhaps tuck your toes under for this one, if the feet are really turning out to the sides. Okay, and then scooping the belly under and coming down a little bit more, if that's okay. Maybe having another go at scooping under, coming back down, and then rest into the back of the thighs. Rest into the bones in the legs. Last 2 breaths here. And as you come up, perhaps bring the knees together. Might feel a bit nicer. Come up onto your hands and knees. Walk the knees back if you're at the top of your mat too much. We're going to come into puppy dog. So you're going to bring one arm, then the other forwards. Now, as you drop the chest towards the floor, can you lengthen your spine? So in other words, don't push down into your lower back to get the chest to the floor. Instead, we're going to move the spine back up towards the sacrum. So you're stretching up into the air with your back. So it's the opening of the arms that bring your forehead down. Excuse me. See if you can get your shoulders a bit onto your back. Great, last couple of breaths here. Excuse me. And then coming back up onto our hands and knees. Okay, so and then down face dog, tuck the toes under and move back and up. So let's take either a step or a leap into a forward fold. So if you're going to leap, you bend the knees, you come up onto your toes and you jump. And then rolling up. Great. Okay, so let's do a little bit of shoulder stabilizing. So bring your hands to face forwards, or rather palms to face up, elbows in by your sides. So the arms are bent, like you're holding a tray. Okay, hands are forwards, elbows by your sides. And then draw your shoulders down your back. Draw your waist muscles down your back. Draw your tailbone down to the feet. So everything slides downwards behind you. Let the collarbones lift. And then keep all of that activation. We're going to, any amount, move the hands out to the sides. So they won't go all the way out to the sides, of course, because you're keeping your elbows in place. So I don't know if you can tell or not, but my hands are really pretty much out in front of me, but also out to the side. Okay, the movement of the arms going out to the sides comes from the armpit and the upper arm. So can you widen into that space of the armpit, the front of the armpit? And then let's bring it in. Let's do that a few more times. So slide the shoulder blades down, slide the waist down, tailbone down. Everything up from the shoulders down the back slides down to the heels, and then move the arms out. The arms moving out, it's not coming from you trying to reach your fingers. It's coming from the armpit. It's coming from the upper arm rolling out. Collarbones broadening. Can you make your collarbones longer to the left and to the right? Being careful, obviously, not to back bend here. And then coming in, let's do 2 more. So go straight in, the muscles coming down the back towards the feet and opening the, it's that upper arm external rotation that's going on here. The rotation, external rotation within the shoulder. 1 more, so we're going to bring it in and turn it out. Yeah. Widen the collarbones a little bit more, move them out to the sides. Nice, and then let's release the hands. Okay, so like you're pushing the ground down, if the ground was here, or you were pushing yourself up between two sides of things, you're going to push the hands down. Now, as the hands push down, the shoulder blades draw down, the back of the waist draws down. You lift the chest away from the feet, not up into the space in front of you, but away from the feet. So it's not just the chest that comes away from the feet, it's the upper back. You know, you're moving the back ribs and the front ribs away from the floor. Lovely. And then let's release that effort. And then let's come to the front of the mat if you're not already. Okay, bringing the arms up, take an inhale, look up. Palms facing together, and then move your shoulder blades forwards towards the hands. Any amount here with the arms reaching forwards and the shoulder blades reaching forwards. We can then first of all tuck the tail within the pelvis loop. Maybe the arms come further back and then forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen your belly and your lower back at the same time. And then go back in the right leg. We're going to come into a warrior 2. So bend the left leg, sole of right foot to the floor and come up. Good. Okay, so stay nice and even between both legs. We're going to open the arms out. Left fingertips point to the left side of your mat, the top of your mat. Your right fingertips to the back of your mat. And drape your shoulders away from your neck. Nice. Reverse your warrior. Right arm comes down the back leg, left palm faces up. And then go up with the left waist and close down a bit through the right waist. So we're curling back. And then can you lift out of the waist? Even as you're in this position here, lifting out of both sides of the waist. Great. Cartwheel the hands to the floor and come up on to the back toes. Now bend the left leg, place the right hand on the ground, pretty much out to the side more than usual. We're going to turn left. So turn your chest left, turn your hips a little bit left. Draw the right shoulder blade down your back and plug it into the back of your heart and lean back into an arch. You can bring your left arm up into the air. And then wide angle forward fold, wide leg forward fold. Bring your left hand to the floor on the inside of the foot. Spin on the heel of the left foot as you turn right. Okay, wide angle forward fold. So bend the knees as much as you need to. Okay, in fact, we can all start off with the knees bent. We bend the knees, we're going to lean back and forth through the feet. Find a place where you feel your middle of the feet. And then any amount start to lengthen into the outside edges of your legs. So from the sacrum, from the outer buttocks, you're going to move down and out and down towards the outside edges of your feet. The inside edges of your feet are going to draw up the legs and into the groins. And then a little bit just a shadow, soft tissue only, of that pelvic loop to engage the pelvic floor. And then we can play with bending one leg and bending the other leg. Stay with the hands in the middle. You're just going to bend one leg and then bend the other. And as you do that, the knee going out to the sides. Try to let the knee move more laterally than just coming forwards. And then we're going to spin on the ball of the left foot, walk to the top of your mat, come up onto your right ball of foot, and then go back into your dog. And we're going to ripple forwards into a plank. So scoot your belly in, your tailbone down. There's a Jalandhara bandha here as well. So the throat draws in, the chin tucks down. And then ripple forwards. And then come into your back bend. So it might be up dog, might be cobra. And then back into your down face dog. And stepping forwards. And then we'll roll up. Bringing the arms up when you get there. Find your loop. And then hands at the heart. We'll just keep the hands at the heart for a moment. Just connect to your breath. Connect to the dynamic stillness. And perhaps considering your breath coming from deep behind the heart. And then when we inhale, we'll bring the arms up. So on your inhale, we're going to bring the arms back up into the air. And then fold back down into a forward fold. So I'm going to switch the end of the mat that I'm on. So let's go back with the left leg into Warrior Two. Bring the left foot to the floor. My mat's gone for a little walk. And come up. Okay. So I'm equal in the surface area of both feet. You know, so it's not that the left outer foot is lifted. There's an equality in the soles of both feet. And then bring in the arms out to the sides. And bring the shoulders onto your back. Again here, you know, seeing as it's been mentioned a lot, we could consider it here too, that minute pelvic tilt to engage the lower core. Find your reverse, so left arm comes down. Stretch the right side of your waist up and kind of lean into that. And instead of just going down through the left waist and compressing there, there's also a lift within the system. Last breath. And then like a cartwheel, you're going to bring the right hand and then the left hand to the floor, up onto your left ball of foot. Sometimes it's a bit easier if you move your right foot to the right. I can't remember if I said left knee down on the other side or not. Left hand out to the side. No, it was up. And then we're to turn the whole body right. And then with your left shoulder blade, you're going to bring it down your back and plug it into the back of your heart to lift the chest. And then maybe bringing the other arm up into the air as well. And behind you. So both shoulder blades kind of push into the back of the heart to lift the chest. Last breath. And then we'll come into a wide leg forward fold again. So the right hand comes on the inside of the foot. Spin on your right heel until both feet face the long edge of your mat. You might need to level up your feet if one's gone further back than the other. Okay, bend the knees. And then with the knees bent, we're going to find the outside edges of the sacrum and the buttocks. We're going to roll them out. So the thighs roll out, the knees roll out, and all of that rolls out and down into the outside edges of your feet. A little bit of a pelvic loop. Maybe then start to elongate the legs any amount, but keep that lift in the pelvic floor. The lift that comes all the way up from the sole of the inside edge of the foot, and then it's a downward action through from the sacrum to the outside edge of the foot. If you feel very strong there, you could perhaps keep your back really straight and bring your hands to your hips. Otherwise, keep the hands on the floor. You have to keep the engagement into your lower belly, which supports your lower back. Right, and then bringing the hands to the ground. You're going to turn the heels in, toes out, bend the knees out to the sides, and then rest your forearms on your inner thighs or inner knee area. And then take a little roll from left to right. Great. And then when we come into a forward fold, we'll spin on the heels so the toes turn in as we go, not after. Great. And then spin on your right heel to the front of your mat and then back into your down face dog. Come down onto the knees. And then keep your hips over your knees, walking your hands forwards, finding the shoulders connecting into your back, and then rest any amount down through maybe onto the forehead. Keep the shoulders feeling as if they belong to your back body. Keep the back of the neck long. Maybe take a rock with the armpits left to right. Move back and up through the groins so the pubic, behind the pubic bone moves back and up. Nice, and then we'll come back up onto our shins, bring the arms back, so kneeling, and then up onto our high shins. Right, so bring one hand behind your shoulders again, and the opposite arm to it can be the same side, it's a bit easier if it's the same side, okay, or it can be the opposite side. We're going to go find the loop in the pelvis, find a sense of the thigh bones tipping forwards to find the space at the groins. The left elbow or the upper elbow goes up, the chest goes up with it, and maybe as you open the front of the body, the hand can slide lower down the leg, just a tad lower. But I really want you to make sure you feel it as a stretch for the front of the body. Otherwise, come back up. Okay, we'll all come back up now anyway, don't want to stay long there. And then let's change sides. Okay, bring your other arm up between the back. And this is a great place to stay, just here and working on the loop to connect the lower belly and working on the elbow lift to open up the ribs. Okay, so you know what to do. It's either the same side leg or the other side. Kind of like a half camel pose. Last breath. Good. And then bringing the hand down. And then resting, sitting on your feet. And let's just rest our head on our hands. Go wide with the knees here. When we go wide through the knees, the spine can drop through. Okay, let's take a couple more breaths. Lovely. And then coming up. Okay, so let's come onto your pelvis. Sit onto your pelvis. Now bring, I'll try mirroring you here. So you're going to bring your right leg forwards. So I haven't been mirroring you up to now. Right leg forwards into a bent leg. So you've got your shin parallel to the top of your mat or wherever you are. It's parallel out in front of you. You can bring the other knee back. So we're in a bit of a Z shape. And just start to sit forwards over that front shin. So it's that other knee. I don't know if I said left or right correctly there, but so you're just leaning over that front hip and the front shin. And you can start to orientate yourself towards the middle of the shin and maybe even hold the sole of the foot with the elbow, the inside of the arm and elbow, if that works out for you. And then you could go over further even towards the towards the front foot. Okay, let's come back around to the front. Slide your other leg behind you, so we're back into our pigeon, our pigeon, a 90-degree angle pigeon arrangement. And then we're going to sort of turn within the pelvis, keep the left thigh down, turn within the pelvis, and perhaps take your opposite knee, so it's your opposite arm to the knee that's forward, so it's your probably your right arm, you're going to come over to the left any amount. So now we're turning the upper ribs to the opposite direction of the foot. So we're moving from left shoulder, right hip. Left or right, right hip, left shoulder moves away from the right hip. One more breath. Lovely, and then let's return. So bring your back leg forwards and your other leg just slightly back, so it's both legs are bent arrangement, and then coming forwards over the knee, and then maybe coming forwards towards the shin. So you've all got options where you can stay. Maybe hugging the arm a bit around the foot, if that works out for you. You might even start to come towards the foot. It all depends on your availability in the left side of you. Okay, and then you can come up to do it. Take your other leg, your back leg, even further back. And turning. So if you need to, you can bring that foot in a bit more. I quite prefer it out. But turning, as your spine is upright and straight, you're going to turn towards away from your foot. And you might start to bring the right arm across on that diagonal and moving the shoulder away from the bottom hip. So it's on opposite, it's on a diagonal. That top right shoulder moving away in a spiral away from the bottom left hip, the one you're sitting on. Nice. One more breath. And then we'll come back up. Just bring the back leg forwards. Bring both shins into a cross position. It's very tempting to tuck the feet under like that. But we're not looking for the top of the foot to be on the floor. It's really much more of a outwards movement through the feet, or facing outwards through the soles of the feet. Okay, and you can have your hands back here and just rest, or you can start to come forward. It's up to you. Breathing into your back, one more breath, and then we'll do the other side. Okay, so giving the other leg in the front. If you're in the forward fold here, although the seat bones are moving to the back of the mat, there is an element of that loop here too. So although the bones go one way, the soft tissue come in and go the opposite way, if that makes any sense to you. And then we'll come back up. Okay, so you're welcome to stay sitting or lying down. So either in Shavasana, I don't know how warm it is where you are, you might just make sure you're snuggly. And as you're sitting or laying down, starting to connect to your breathing pattern. And start to count your breathing pattern. Count for 4 on the inhale and count for 4 on the exhale. So just coming into a bit more of a rhythmic breathing. 4 on the in, honouring that moment of pause. 4 on the exhale, honouring that moment of pause. 4 on the in. And then coming into 5 on the in, and honouring the pause, and 5 on the out, honouring the pause. As you're breathing in this 5-5 fashion, can you allow the breath to be filled with gratitude, to allow the breath to come behind the heart and to envelop the heart. Any emotions that you're struggling with, maybe exhaling anything, any darkness away, inhaling light, inhaling dark. Whatever feel you want to do. Just consider bringing our breathing to 6. Maybe a couple of rounds at 7, otherwise stay at 6. Maybe a couple of rounds of 8, otherwise staying at 6 or 7. And then let that breath just fall away. And just being sort of focused on your natural breathing. And then becoming aware of the sounds around you or the space that you're in. It's a beautiful day today. Taking a breath. And then if you're lying down, start to give yourself a bit of a stretch out. Making your way over onto your side. And coming up to sitting. And bring our hands together at our hearts. So finding a long spine, front, sides and back. And as we tuck the chin, can you lift the throat? So it's like the throat lifts up deep into the jaw. And the chin tucks down, Jalandhara. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Whoops, let's just...
Thank you, Claire.